ওকে, সো আজকের যে সেশনটা হবে অ্যাকচুয়ালি এটা লিটারেরি থিওরি অ্যান্ড ক্রিটিসিজমের ওপর, নিউ ক্রিটিসিজম অ্যান্ড নিউ হিস্টোরিসিজম। নিউ ক্রিটিসিজমটা আগে আমি করিয়ে নেব, যদি টাইম থাকে তো নিউ হিস্টোরিসিজম ডিসকাস করবো, আদারওয়াইজ নেক্সট ক্লাসে সেটা ডিসকাশন হবে। অ্যাজ দিস ইজ আ ইউনো রিভিশন ক্লাস, সো আই উইল গো উইথ ইন কুইক মোড। ওকে, সো যতটা তোমাদের এসএলএম এ অ্যাকচুয়ালি রয়েছে, I don't think so it's enough for new criticism. New criticism is a vast topic, and you have to read lots of things, and lots of things are here, and lots of critiques, lots of theories are there. So তোমাদের এসএলএম এ প্রপারলি কিছু সেরকম ভাবে খুব ডেপথলি মানে ওই জিনিসগুলো মানে ডিপ ভাবে দেওয়া নেই। সো যাই হোক, আমি কিছু কিছু পয়েন্টস গুলো, কিছু কিছু ফ্যাক্টরস গুলো আমি বলবো, সেগুলো একটু মাথায় রাখবো। ফার্স্ট অফ অল, আই ওয়ান্ট টু আস্ক আ সিম্পল কোয়েশ্চেন টু অল অফ ইউ, হোয়াট ইউ থিঙ্ক অ্যাবাউট নিউ ক্রিটিসিজম? I mean to say, what is a new criticism and what they actually do? Do you have any idea about that? What is new criticism and what they actually do? Any one of you? As this is a revision class, I think all of you actually already aware of this, already familiar of this particular topic, new criticism. So tell me, Kakoli,
Well,
what do you think about new criticism and what they do actually? What the principal theory of new criticism? Okay, Wahida, Wahida,
Hello.
huh?
New criticism actually opposes old historicism, and it basically says that everything is within the text. So we don't need to focus on biography or historical facts. We just need to focus on the text itself and on its literary devices that used within it.
Nice, but you have to add more points. Like you have to say that new criticism also oppose the new historicism along with reader response theory, because
Yes.
they remove the reader response theory, reader response theories and old historicism. Okay, new criticism came after old historicism, neither new historicism. You have to understand that. In new,
Yes, yes. New criticism comes after old historicism, and then after new criticism, new historicism comes.
yes, this is the chronology we have to understand. And I know in American literary schools and all, and actually in French, actually in Russia, actually in Russia, there was a incident happened, that is Russian formalism. Okay, because it was happened in the Russia, that is Russian formalism, and in America happened, so it's new criticism. Okay, so in new criticism universities or new criticism school of new criticism, actually I'm talking about. So they actually think that whenever you are going to read a text, then you have to read only the contextual meaning and contextual thing. Neither you have to follow the historical background or emotion or whatever the particularly poet or the writer wrote on the purpose of the economical or societal, this kind of actually points they reject. So they actually always say that uh, in this particular context, I just want to say that new criticism, it's a one kind of literary theory, basically it's a literary theory part, literary theory and method of literary analyst that emerged in the early to early to mid 20th century, primarily if I say in the United States, UK, sorry, US, okay, America. I'm talking about in America, American literary schools. Okay, so basically it emphasizes close reading of the of the text itself, and focusing on the text intrinsic and qualities such as form, structure, rhyme, language, symbolism, okay, these kind of things actually. And rather than considering the author's biography, historical context, or if I say reader response theory also, they also reject the reader response theory. Okay, later I will say about reader response theory, but not in this class. I will talk about this particular theory in new historicism class. Okay, so basically new critics believe that a work, actually literature, should be analyzed as a self-contained, just understand guys, self-contained and autonomous entity with meaning derived solely from within the text. This approach actually often involves examining the relationship between different elements within the text to uncover deeper layers of meaning and significance. Suppose here Riddhi wrote a work and Wahida is try to read the particular work. So I am also reading this work, and also Jenny is reading that particular work. But if I start analyze the text, or if I start interpret this text, then my perspective will be different. Even Jenny's perspective will be also different. Jenny, maybe she consider the historical background, maybe I consider the religious or historical background as a main point. Forward will suppose William, if I say about William Shakespeare, why William Shakespeare wrote that kind of those kind of plays, or if I say sonnets, I can connect the historical background, right? But when you are going to in a new criticism lens, then you have to remove all the things, like you have to remove religious factors, you have to remove economical factors, you have to remove if I say social factors, if you have to remove reader response theories factors, okay, you have to remove historical factors, everything you have to remove. You have to just focus on the text, and you have to read only how the content writer, if I say the content writer, I'm considering them as a content writer, how the content writer wrote the work properly, meaningful, mannerful, and in proper way, with structure, with structure. Okay, see, uh, new criticism, new historicism, cultural materialism, structuralism, post-structuralism, deconstruction, these theories actually are all connected. Because if you see in new criticism, actually new criticism, if we try to read about the validation, how long it actually goes. So basically new criticism timeline was not so far, okay, it's not so long. After that new historicism came, reader response came. Actually if I say as a critical perspective, the new reader response theory actually opposes most. Reader response theory is the mostly opposes new criticism. Most famous, if I say the critique of new criticism, then it would be new reader response theory. Okay, so this is the factor, guys. This is the actual theory and theme. I'm talking about the new criticism. And basically, this approach often involves examining the relationship between elements within the text to uncover deeper layers, right? Deeper layers of meaning and, if I say significance. So here I just want to add some points. In your SLM, you can also find this particular thing, that over the years, there also, if you see your SLM, it is actually written that over the years, or some kind of the focus in literary criticism has shifted from the uh, author to the next, the reader, and finally to theories. So मुझे अभी भी याद है, मतलब रट्टा मार लिया मैंने अपने मन पे, तो इसीलिए मन में ही रट्टा मार लिया था, तो मुझे अभी भी याद है ये चीज. So basically, exclusive concern with the next is the realm of criticism. The term new criticism coined by who? Do you know?
J. Spingarn in 1910.
J.E. Spingham. Actually, the term new criticism was used in early 1911 by J.E. Spingham. But you have to understand the term actually coined by J.C. Ransom. Don't mix up. I'm just writing this here in my word book. J.E. Spingham, you have to understand, J.E. Spingham, he actually used this term.
তুমি কি স্ক্রিন শো করছো?
Oh,
Screen time
sorry, sorry,
visible
sorry.
now.
হ্যালো,
Sorry, 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 sorry. Extremely
স্ক্রিন
sorry. Extremely sorry, extremely sorry. Now is it visible?
ইয়েস ইয়েস ইয়েস।
See what I'm saying actually. J is Spingram. You said J is Spingram. So basically you have to, you don't mix, guys. Don't mix the facts. J. Spingram, he actually was also new critic. The term new criticism was used as early time, if I say, in 1911. It was used in 1911 first by J.C. Spingram. Okay, it was used. I'm talking about used, not coined. But if I say who coined, then J.C. Ransom, John Crowley Ransom, John Crowley Ransom. You can see, you can check the spelling if I made mistake. Okay, so he is a person who actually coined the term, John Trove Ransom. Okay, in 1941 he wrote a book named New Criticism. Okay, in 1941 he wrote a book in New Criticism. Just understand the fact, guys. In 1941. Okay, and after publishing this book, actually New Criticism got famous. उससे पहले इसका कोई अता पता उतना ज्यादा फेमस हुआ नहीं था. If I say about T.S. Eliot, he was also new critic. If I say about I.A. Richards, sir, he was also famous. If I say Cleanth, he was also famous. But after that, we can say that we can see in this era, in 1941, he actually published a work, that is New Criticism. After publishing this work, the term actually has been coined by him, and this particular term, New Criticism, he applied in his book, title, book's title. So he is a very much interesting person also, because after that he also created, and actually he also wrote if I say um, a seminal essay in 1937. It was a seminal essay. I'm writing this name, Criticism Inc. Okay, this is the seminal essay by John Crowley Ransom. Okay, here lots of creative writers and lots of literary workers, lots of literary theorists, critics actually worked with him. Okay, he made us some kind of company or some kind of group. Actually, according to him, literary criticism is like a, science. Science. Just understand. I'm talking about science. Okay. So let's talk about J.E. Spindrum first. So he used this particular term. That doesn't mean he actually coined this term. So if university asked you that who used it first, okay, who used it first? So if you see J.E. Spindrum along with if you say John Crow Ransom, then choose J.E. Spindrum. If they ask this kind of question that who coined the term, then you can choose the option John Crow Ransom. Okay, understood? So basically, as author, as scholarship, lots of scholar was there in that particular time. Okay, and Spingram wrote a book, a famous book, which was published, I think, 1911 too. So 1910 to 1911, this particular between this time period, the New Criticism. This is a book by him. The New Criticism, and subtitle is a lecture delivered a lecture delivered yes, at Columbia. A lecture delivered at Columbia University. आप लोग थोड़ा सा इसको गूगल कर लेना, मैं अगर गलत लिख रहा हूँ तो ठीक है, मैं बार बार बोलता हूँ क्योंकि स्क्रीन प्रेजेंट कर रहा हूँ, सो आई कांट गूगल राइट नाउ। एंड द फैक्ट इज अभी बुक्स भी लेके नहीं बैठा हूँ तो आप लोगों को बता सकूँ। सो एनीवेज, try to google it if I am writing this in wrong manner. Okay, and it was published in, I think, around March April time. Okay, March April month. I don't know the exact time, but between 1910 to 1911, you can consider. Okay, 1910 to 1911, this is the timeline. You can google it first. So basically, Spindram rejected the critics' concern with non-textual issues such as historical and social consideration, or if I say philological study or text. And the critics actually focus should be the work itself. In the studying the work, the critic should purpose the poet's intention and how far this has this has been achieved in the work. Basically, new critics, what they do, what actually they remove historical factors, they remove political factors, they remove economical factors, economical background. I mean to say backgrounds. Okay, even they also rejects the idea of response theory. They also remove this, and they even remove some kind of, if I say intention. What was the intention of author that he wrote or she wrote this particular work? New critics also remove these stuffs. After removing these stuffs, they create something new, which is new critics idea. Okay, in the decades between 1930 to 1960, if I say, guys, just remember this thing. The British critics I.E. Richards, T.S. Eliot, and F.R. Lewis. I'm talking about F.R. Lewis. Okay, include this name also. F.R. Lewis. He's also a prominent literary figure in that time. F.R. Lewis. So किस तीनों का मतलब कौन से तीनों का नाम लिया मैंने, बताओ? कंसंट्रेशन नहीं है क्या क्लास में?
I.A. Richards, T.S. Eliot, and
Yes, definitely. I.A. Richards, T.S. Eliot, and F.R. Lewis. If even I am just giving you a interesting fact, guys. In New Criticism book, which was published in 1941 by John Crow Ransom, he actually start with the line that अभी line याद नहीं है सर आयु रिचर्ड को ही कोट करके वो अपना लाइन शुरू करते हैं तो वो बहुत प्रभावित भी थे आयु रिचर्ड से so basically let's go for this about this factor that I was talking about in 1930 to 1960s, right? So British critics, I.O. Richards, T.S. Eliot, and F.R. Lewis began, the trends in modern criticism. These all the things are happening in the modern criticism, guys. Just understand. In modern criticism, which became known, especially, if I say, especially in American literary studies as new criticism. Though the British critics were not, categorized as critics, these critics actually paved the way for Anglo-American scholars by this particular name. Okay, so the trend, this trend actually, the trend set by I. Richard, sir, I. Richard and T.S. Eliot passed through to the United States, where the general drift of criticism had been towards historical studies and, if I say, scholarship. Okay, so you have to understand मतलब इस चीज को आप लोग समझो इसका बैकग्राउंड क्या है. So guys, the critics in that time, the critics of southern states, if I say southern states, related against this. Okay, they reacted. They reacted against this, and this consequence, if I say, this consequence of the reaction found expression in the school of, if I say, criticism, which came to be known as new criticism. So this is the history. I'm just recording this session. You can pause in my video when you are going to watch in YouTube. So basically, you have to pause because some factors you may skip. You just maybe you are not able to catch me as I am speaking very much fast. So I'm just speaking slowly, so you can understand very much understandably. So guys, you have to understand that. Uh, what is the background of new criticism? This is the background. Okay, so new criticism नेम कहाँ से आया आपको समझ में आ गया, कैसे आया समझ में आएगा. So basically this was, if I say, ushered in by a surge of both creative and critical activity dubbed the Southern Renaissance. In 1941, the two major writer critics of this particular phase in 1941, John Crow Ransom and Alan Tate, they came. Okay, and they launched a new movement in new criticism. Just understand, they launched a new movement. 1902 to 1903 to 1930. If I say in this time, you will get J.E. Spingram. If you see this time, you can get some other literary critics. If I say I. Richards, T.S. Eliot. So these are actually 1902 to 1930s time. I'm going to divide this era in between two, 19 to 1930. After that, you know, John Crow Ransom came and Alan Tate came, and they launched a new movement in criticism and named it after Spingram. After Spingram, sir. Okay, so though their perspective was different, so definitely they actually launched a new movement. Okay, and criticism was now established as a profession and taken up by university scholars in that time, and academicians, if I say, who aimed at setting up, appropriate standards for criticism. Okay, so I was talking about criticism inc, right? So it was it was wrote by J. Springram. It was a kind of a seminal essay. Okay, so basically, uh, JC Ransom, JC Ransom sir, this is very much important, guys, and you have to know this factor that JC Ransom, when he came, uh, he actually wrote a work, and uh, in a seminal essay, he worked on criticism inc. He made a criticism inc, which was an essay, which was published in 1937. J.C. Ransom's saying like this, that it is strange. Just understand, it is strange, but nobody seems to have. These words actually by John Crow Ransom. It is strange, but nobody seems to have told us what exactly is the proper business of criticism. Okay, so he's saying this kind of actually language or this kind of words, and there are many critics who might tell us, but for the most part, they they are amateurs. They are amateurs. So have the critics nearly always been amateurs, including the best ones? They have not been trained to criticism so much as they have simply undertaken a job for which no specific qualifications were required. By these lines actually said by John Crow Ransom. Okay, he was saying like this. He was trying to change in this particular movement. He was launching a movement. Actually, he launched a new movement in new criticism in this particular time, and it is far too likely that what they call criticism, when they produce it, it is not the real thing. So he was a leading figure, guys. John Crow Ransom is a leading figure, but we shouldn't, we also should respect to J.E. Spingram sir, T.S. Eliot sir, even if I say uh, I. Richard sir. Okay, so don't forget this name also. Even Robert Penn Barron also there, and even Clint Brook. I will also explain about Clint Brook as per your SLM. Okay, so he was a leading figure of the school of literary criticism known as the New Criticism. So which gained actually its name for this in 1941, as he was coined this term. Okay, volume of essays, that it was a volume of essays, that the new criticism. Okay, this is a volume of essays, and the new critical theory which dominated American literary thought throughout, if I say, the middle 20th century, emphasized by close reading and criticism based on the text, basically text themselves, rather than on non-textual bias or non-textual theories or history. In his seminal work, New Criticism Inc, guys, in this work actually, uh, which was published in 1937, in this work, Ransom laid out the deal from form of literary criticism, stating that this is a statement by him. Okay, I'm just writing down on here. This is a statement by Ransom sir, that he's saying criticism. Write down this line: criticism must become more scientific, scientific or precise and systematic. This is a statement by John Ransom, sir. You can write down this. This is the statement by John Ransom, sir. He's saying this kind of sentence, and there is a deep meaning of this sentence, guys. To this end, he argued that the personal responses to literature, historical scholarship, linguistic scholarship, and the termed the term moral studies should not influence literary criticism. He's directly saying this. And he also argued that literary critics should regard a poem. Literary critics should regard a poem as an aesthetic object. One more important line I'm saying. Take this seriously. One more important line. Okay. Okay, a second. Okay. So one more important line is literary critics should regard a poem as an aesthetic object. That is why you can see that most of the critics, most of the literary critics and new critics also, they actually focus on poems, neither other works. They actually focuses on uh, they focus on poem. Okay, so many of the other ideas, if I say many of the ideas he explained in this particular essay would become very important in development of the development of the new criticism inc I'm talking about, and a number of Ransom's other theoretical uh, essays set forth some of the guiding principles that the new critics would build upon. So, some critics are there with him, like Alan Tate, Cleanth. Cleanth is very much important. So, Alan Tate and Cleanth. यही है ना spelling? Alan Tate, Alan Tate, Cleanth, Robert Penwarren. Uh, these are actually had a greater hand in developing many of the uh, key concepts like close reading. I'm talking about close reading, guys. It is also you should understand close reading. Okay, close reading. So basically, uh, this is the key concept that matter came to define the new criticism. Okay, and in 1951 he was also awarded 1951 he was also awarded the Russell Leones Award. Russell Leones Award. He was awarded by I'm talking about Ransom sir. He was awarded the sorry Russell Leones Award. Okay, for poetry. Okay, for what? For poetry from the National Institute of Arts and Letters. Okay, so basically, uh, there are three concepts adopted by John Crow Ransom in his work Criticism and INC. Um, First is the artistic himself, uh, you know, the first is the artistic himself. He should know, he means the critic or the reader, basically the critic. Okay, बेसिकली ये जो मतलब क्रिटिसिज्म एंड आईएनसी था, इसमें वो जितने भी लिटरेरी स्कॉलर्स थे उनको वो ट्रेन करते थे। ठीक है, कि क्रिटिसिज्म एक साइंस है, इसको एक साइंस की तरह समझो, क्योंकि इसमें साइंटिफिक चीजें होती है। इसमें आप मतलब आप क्रिटिसिज्म कर रहे हो, आप लिटरेरी टेक्स्ट को पढ़ रहे हो, उसके हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड को समझ रहे हो, उसके थॉट प्रोसेस को समझ रहे हो, डिक्शंस को समझ रहे हो, उसके भावनाओं को समझते हुए वो किस चीज के लिए बोला जा रहा है उसको समझ रहे हो, इवन राइमिंग स्कीम समझ रहे हो, मेटाफर समझ रहे हो, लिटरेरी डिवाइसेस समझ रहे हो, सिंटैक्स फॉर्म्स को समझ रहे हो, लिंग्विस्टिक फॉर्म्स को समझ रहे हो। तो इतने सारे चीज होने के वजह से ये एक साइंटिफिक चीज हो गया, अकॉर्डिंग टू यू नो जॉन क्रो रैंसम। बाद में जाकर जब रीडर रिस्पॉन्स थ्योरी आया, तब इनका मतलब जो वर्क है जॉन क्रो रैंसम को, रीडर रिस्पॉन्स थ्योरी वाले, ठीक है, उन्होंने कहा कि लिटरेचर को, लिटरेरी क्रिटिसिज्म को एक साइंटिफिक तरीके से देखा जा रहा है। उन्होंने अपने हिसाब से, रीडर रिस्पॉन्स ने अपने हिसाब से उन्होंने कहा, वो ये बोलते हैं कि हर एक रीडर का ये हक होता है कि उस टेक्स्ट को वो कैसे पढ़े, कैसे एनालिसिस करे। ठीक है, ये हक होता है, एंड इसको साइंस की तरह पढ़ने का जरूरत नहीं है, और इसको साइंस बनाने की जरूरत नहीं है। लिटरेचर है, लिटरेचर ही रहे तो अच्छा है। और लिटरेरी क्रिटिसिज्म को एज ए साइंटिफिक फॉर्म में ये बोल रहे थे, इसी वजह से न्यू रिस्पॉन्स मतलब रीडर रिस्पॉन्स थ्योरी आया, और ये उन्होंने अपोज किया इनके थॉट प्रोसेस को। ठीक है, जो कि ये क्रिटिसिज्म आईएनसी में बताए, एंड जो इनके वर्क न्यू क्रिटिसिज्म में इन्होंने बताया। सो सबसे ज्यादा अगर मैं बोलूं कि न्यू क्रिटिसिज्म को किसने अपोज किया, वो है रीडर रिस्पॉन्स ने। और न्यू हिस्टोरिसिज्म वाज अ रिएक्शन, न्यू हिस्टोरिसिज्म वाले आए। अब ओल्ड हिस्टोरिसिज्म था, अब ओल्ड हिस्टोरिसिज्म में हिस्ट्री को, इकोनॉमिकल को, सब चीज को मतलब वहां पे अडॉप्ट तो किया जाता था, रिलीजियस फैक्टर्स को एंड कुछ फैक्टर्स को वहां पे अडॉप्ट नहीं किया जाता। जबकि न्यू हिस्टोरिसिज्म जब आया, ओल्ड हिस्टोरिसिज्म का एक अपग्रेडेड वर्जन था न्यू हिस्टोरिसिज्म। अब न्यू हिस्टोरिसिज्म जब आया, तो न्यू हिस्टोरिसिज्म में ये सारे चीजों को अपग्रेड करके, मतलब एक मोबाइल का जो सॉफ्टवेयर वगैरह होता है ना, आप अपने मोबाइल में जब एक मतलब आपका जो एंड्रॉयड फोन है, उसमें एंड्रॉयड 13, एंड्रॉयड 14 जब आप लोग मतलब है आपके फोन में ही, तो जब कोई अपडेट आता है तो उसमें कुछ कैमरा कैमरा का मतलब कैमरा फिक्सेस, या फिर कुछ लैग को फिक्स करते हैं, या फिर कुछ चीजों को फिक्स करते हैं जो पहले प्रीवियस वर्जन में नहीं था, इस वर्जन में है। तो न्यू हिस्टोरिसिज्म ने भी वही किया। तो जब इन्होंने न्यू क्रिटिसिज्म को करते हुए देखा, तो रीडर रिस्पॉन्स थ्योरी या न्यू हिस्टोरिसिज्म बोथ आर नॉट डिफरेंट, इनका कनेक्शन है। क्योंकि रीडर रिस्पॉन्स थ्योरी ने मतलब स्टडी मतलब जो स्कॉलर्स है उसके ओरिएंटेड ये बात कहा, और जो न्यू हिस्टोरिस्ट है मतलब स्कॉलर्स को लेकर तो उन्होंने बोला है, इवन हिस्ट्रिकल बैकग्राउंड को हम लोग नहीं मतलब फेंक सकते हैं, नहीं रिमूव कर सकते, उसके लिए भी उन्होंने कहा। तो न्यू हिस्टोरिसिज्म जब हम लोग स्टीफन ग्रीनब्लैट के बारे में बात करेंगे, उन्होंने ही तो मतलब न्यू मतलब सबसे बड़ा फादर फिगर अगर कोई है तो स्टीफन ग्रीनब्लैट। तो जब हम लोग न्यू हिस्टोरिसिज्म पढ़ेंगे तब हम लोग ये चीज को समझेंगे। बाकी आप लोग ये समझो, न्यू क्रिटिसिज्म को सबसे ज्यादा अगर किसी ने अपोज किया तो वो मतलब रीडर रिस्पॉन्स थ्योरी है। और रीडर रिस्पॉन्स थ्योरी के अगेंस्ट में मतलब उनके जवाब में क्लिंथ ब्रुक जो है, आज का जो सेशन है उसमें क्लिंथ ब्रुक का भी जिक्र आएगा। क्लिंथ ब्रुक जो है, क्लिंथ ब्रुक ने अपने आइडियाज को वहां पे रखा, रीडर रिस्पॉन्स के हर एक मतलब अपोजिशन मतलब अपोज उन्होंने जो भी किया, जो भी उन्होंने एलिगेशंस लगाया, उन पे क्लिंथ ब्रुक ने अपना जवाब दिया। आप लोग समझ रहे हो ना मैं क्या कह रहा हूँ, नहीं कह रहा हूँ? चीजों को सही तरीके से समझ रहे हो, या फिर मैं खुद ही में बात कर रहा हूँ और आप लोग बस सुन रहे हो? बताओ। फैक्ट्स को समझो, मतलब बैकग्राउंड और कहाँ कहाँ से क्या आया ये भी समझो, ये जरूरी है। किसी को समझने में कोई प्रॉब्लम हो तो अभी बताओ, ठीक है? अभी तक समझ चुके हो जो भी मैंने बताया, आई थिंक। चलो, मतलब रीडर रिस्पॉन्स तो छोड़ो, आप लोगों का ही रिस्पॉन्स नहीं मिल रहा मुझे सही से। एनीवेज, आपसे क्या करूंगा बोलो तो, ये सब सेशन वगैरह गूगल मीट में नहीं करूंगा। बेटर होगा मैं सेल्फ एक रिकॉर्ड करके इसको यूट्यूब में डाल दूं, वहां से आप लोग क्लासेस कर लीजिएगा, ठीक है। यहाँ पे लाइव क्लासेस मैं सोच रहा हूँ अभी बंद रखूं, फिलहाल मैं देख रहा हूँ सब बहुत ज़्यादा
দাদা
बिजी है।
রেডার রেসপন্সিভ থেকে একটু বোঝাও তো।
रीडर रिस्पॉन्स जब न्यू हिस्टोरिसिज्म पढ़ाऊंगा तो उस टाइम पे रीडर रिस्पॉन्स को डीपली समझाऊंगा। पहले आप एसएलएम को फोकस करो। एसएलएम
মানে
में आप,
রেডার রেসপন্সটা আসছে কি নিউ হিস্টোরিসিজমেরই একটা আপগ্রেড ভার্সন তো,
नो नो नो
ওটাই
नो
তো?
नो नो, रीडर रिस्पॉन्स थ्योरी एंड न्यू हिस्टोरिसिज्म both are different. After new criticism, new reader response came, and then new historicism came. This is the reaction. Reader response is the reaction, and also new historicism is also a reaction. Different critics are there. They also talked about. They also opposed to, new criticism. John Ransom's criticism and theories. Three points which he talked about. The first is the artist himself. He talked about first is the artist himself, second is the philosopher. If I say the third one is a university teacher of literature, I mean to say these are just a summary point. I'm not going to in depth, but just understand. In first, the first is the artist himself. I said right. So he basically should know. According to Crow Ransom, he's just saying the particular artist, he should know he should know good art when he sees it, but his understanding is intuitive rather than dialectical. Not only that, he cannot very well explain his theory of the thing. It is true that literary artists with their command of language are the better critics of their own art than are other artists. Okay, probably the best critics best critics of poetry we can now have our the poets. But one can well imagine that any artist commentary on the artwork is valuable in the degree that he sticks he sticks to its technical effects, which he knows uh, minutely, and about which he can certainly talk if he will. Okay, and in the second phase he talked about, the second is the philosopher. He's talking about the artist, and he's talking about the critics division. So first one is artist himself, second one is philosopher. So Ransom sir is also talking about the philosopher, who should know all about the function of the fine arts. So he is just talking about the factors. He's just saying the formula, how you would be a great critic. Okay, so he's just expressing his formula. Okay, so he's also saying, but the philosopher is apt to see a lot of wood and no trees. Lot of wood and no trees. For his theory is very general, and his acquaintance with the particular works. Works of what? Works of art. Art is not, persistent and imitate, intimate, especially his acquaintance with their technical effects. So basically, he said that uh, uh, at least I suppose so, for philosophers have not proved that they can write close criticism by writing it. And I have the feeling that even their handsome generalizations are open to uh, suspicion as being grounded more on other uh, generalizations, those which form their prior philosophical stock than one acute study of particulars. So this was the second, you know, factor he said in criticism INC. And third one is university literary teachers. Simple मैं आप लोगों को समझा रहा हूँ why he's talked about university teacher of literature, because who actually is styled professor and who should be the very professional, we need to take charge of the critical activity. He is hardly inferior as critic to the philosopher, and perhaps not on the whole to the poet. But he is a greater disappointment because we have the right to expert more of him. Professors of literature are, learned, but no, they learned, but not critical men, yeah. Come on, all we know, we are literature students, we are pursuing PG. Even we, if we are, suppose we are attending some kind of seminar, or if we are attending some kind of a class, then we can understand uh, those professors or those particular literary scholars, they are not even able to understand this particular thought process or this particular topic in depth. They even don't have enough time because they are pursuing also PhD. So how much they will spend their time in literature? This is the fact, guys. You have to understand the professional, moral, if I say, the professional moral of this part of university staff is even eventually low. It is as if with conscious or unconscious cunning they had, if I say, appropriated by every avenue of escape from their responsibility, which was decent and official. So that it is, easy for one of them without public reproach to spend a lifetime in compiling the idea of literature, and yet rarely or never commit himself to a literary judgment. I'm not talking about my side. Yeah, come on, you have to understand, guys. Oh, I'm not talking about my side, but the fact, this is a fact by John Ransom. He said all the facts why he created this, why he want to launch the movement through this criticism INC. He hired some, high class critics, content writer, or creative writers. He even hired them because he wanted to make a some kind of company where, as a staff, if I say, he will appoint critics who are, highly esteemed or highly educated or highly interested in criticism. So that's all about criticism INC, guys. Okay, so I'm just giving you some list which who are actually associated with this new criticism. I'm just saying the names. You can write down. Uh, Joel Elias Spindrum, the full name of J. Spindrum. Uh, a history of literary criticism in the Renaissance. which was published in 1899 and 1908. This is the, you know, work. This is the uh, work as scholarship. Okay. And one more work was Creative Criticism and Other Essays, which was published in 1931. One more work is by him, Creative Criticism. Subtitle is Essays on the Unity of Genius and Taste, 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 which was published in 1970. And the famous work, as I discussed before, this work is The Criticism, a lecture delivered at Columbia University. Okay, this was published in 1910 to 11. Okay, Creative Criticism and Other Essays was also his work in 1931. Criticism in America, its functions and status, essays by 1924. It was also I say. So let's talk about I.A. Richards, sir. The most important two books are Principal Literary Criticism, which was published in 1929, uh, Principles of Literary Criticism, which was actually 1924, not 1929. In 1929, he published, actually, the book was published, Practical Criticism. Okay, Practical Criticism in 1929, Principle of Literary Criticism in 1924. Then we also know about William Emerson. His timeline was 1906 to 1984, and I.E. Richards' the timeline was 1893 to 1979. This is the timeline of I.E. Richards, and William Gibson is also included here. He is also a prominent figure and literary figure. His very much important work, which is Seven Types of Ambiguity, guys, in 1930. I will take a dedicated class on this particular topic later, after 2 or 3 sessions. Okay, this is very important. Okay, Seven Types of Ambiguity. You have to read this. If you are a criticism student, if you are a literary criticism lover, then you need to understand this theory. Seven Types of Ambiguity. Okay, which was published in 1930 by William Emerson. This is very much important work. And our very much favorite T.S. Eliot, sir. His timeline was 1888 to 1965. Okay, Tradition and Individual Talent, as we know, it was published in 1917. Hamlet and His Problems, it was published in 1999, where he applied the theory objective correlative. Okay, objective and correlative. Hamlet and His Problem is the essay. I'm just giving you an idea. Actually, I'm saying a story, guys. Uh, a literary, literary worker. If I say American literary worker, American painter and poet, there was an American painter and poet named uh, was Washington Allison. ऐसे करके नाम था. So he coined a term which is objective correlative. T.S. Eliot didn't coin this term. He used this term. He basically used this term. After using this term in his work, uh, uh, Hamlet and His Problem, which was published in 1999, this term actually got famous, very much famous for this term. Okay, but coined by Washington Allison. Don't forget this, because in assignment exam, then they may ask you this question. So don't mix it. Okay, T.S. Eliot didn't coin this term, objective to correlative. Okay, so we have the prominent father figure, who I we need to say like this, that who is actually father of new criticism, who we need to say father of new criticism, that is John Crow Ransom. His timeline was 1888 to 1974, and the new criticism work was published in 1941. The most important work, the launching movement, actually movement launching movement. Okay, God Without Thunder, it was also a work. Unorthodox Defense or Orthodoxy, this is the subtitle. It was also published in 1930. Cleanth book. I will discuss about Cleanth book today after 5 minutes. Okay, Cleanth book is famous and very much important. You have to read him because in your SLM, if you see, John Crow ransom is not explained very much, very nicely. Only Cleanth is there in new criticism portion. So I will discuss about Cleanth and close reading. If I say the close reading or reader response, I will talk about this also in new historicism session. Okay, so basically you have to know some new critics, literary critics. So I was talking about Cleanbrook timeline. If I say 1906 to 1994, this is the timeline. 1906 to 1994. This is the timeline. Is my screen visible, guys? Is it visible properly? Is it
Yes, it is
visible?
visible.
Okay.
Visible.
So this is the Cleanbrook, 1906 to 1994, and his two famous work. Just write down what I'm saying because it is also in your SLM, guys. One of the famous work is, if I say the famous work, it is also in your work, the well wrote urn. I'm writing here. Wait 1 second. The well wrote urn studies in the structure of poetry. Published in 1947. Remember this. This is very much important work by him. One more work is modern poetry. Modern poetry. Modern poetry and the and the tradition. I think this is a work. You can cross check by Google. It was published, I think, 1939. Yes, 1939 or 37. Probably 1939. Kindly cross check. Okay. So after that we have Alan Tate. His timeline was 1899 to 1979. So guys, basically this Lindbrook is very much prominent critique in this particular era, new criticism. Okay, so don't forget him. He is very much important because in your SLM you can find only the Lindbrook, neither other critics like if I say. Uh, John Crow Ransom and all. But I.A. Richards and T.S. Eliot is different topic. Those are actually given in okay, separated modules. Okay, separate modules. So guys, you have to understand factors that how they are connecting to each other. Cleanth Brook is also working with, he was also working with Crow Ransom sir, John Crow Ransom sir. Okay, remember this. Okay, so Robert Penn was also there. Robert Penn and Cleanth Brook both were actually good friends and they are connected. They are connected. Robert Penn timeline was 1905 to 1989 and famous works Understanding Fiction which was published in 1943. It was by uh, Robert Penn I'm talking about. Okay, 1943. He wrote a work Understanding Fiction and after that he wrote a work just after 15 years I think in 1958, selected essays. Selected essays work is very much important, guys. Okay, Just write down Robert Penn Warren's Selected Essays, okay, which was published in 1951. And one more literary critic was I think RP ब्लैकमोर करके एक था, ठीक है, उनका टाइमलाइन था 1904 to 1965. He is also a prominent critic there, and his work was Language as Gesture, Essay in Poetry. Okay, it was published in 1952. And after that, The Lion and the Honeycomb, subtitle was Essay in Literary Criticism, which was published in 1955. And this was also R.P. Blackmore's work. Okay, don't forget this. William K. Wilsmut. I'm not going to write these names because I will upload this video, so you can pause the video, you can write all the things whatever I'm saying. So that is why I'm just not writing here. Whatever in my mind, I just giving you a brief summary. Okay, because it is a revision session, so I'm not going to in deep. Okay, so William K. Wimsat, Wimsat, Wimsat. William K. Wimsett was a prominent literary figure whose timeline 1907 to 1975, and his work, The Verbal Icon. Don't forget this work. This is very much important work, guys. The Verbal Icon. Subtitle was Studies in the Meaning of Poetry, which was published in 1954. Whatever I'm saying, guys, not only for your PG, but also you can use this, you can apply these all things, all the points in UGC NET exam. Okay, so don't forget this. Even in assignment exam, they may ask you this kind of question. Okay, so that is why I'm saying all the factors, all the small things which is connected with this new criticism, okay, movement basically. So basically William Case Wimsatt, his famous work was published in 1954, which is The Verbal Icon. And after the literary criticism, his famous work was Literary Criticism. सबटाइटल मीन्स कोलन देके वो जो बाद में आता है उसको सबटाइटल कहते हैं हम लोग, ठीक है. सबटाइटल वाज अ शॉर्ट हिस्ट्री, ऐसे करके मतलब एक वर्क था. लिटरेरी क्रिटिसिज्म अ शॉर्ट हिस्ट्री, ठीक है, सबटाइटल था ये, which was published in 1957. Okay, write down this. So after that, we have another critic, prominent new critic, that is uh, Monroe C. uh, Beardsley. Monroe C. Beardsley. Monroe, Monroe C. dot Beardsley, Beardsley, Beardsley. Okay, and his timeline was 1915 to 1985, and he worked in his famous work Aesthetics. Aesthetics. Okay, because the Crow ransoms are also talked about aesthetics, because literary critics should not forget about the aesthetic of the text. Okay, according to ransoms. He also talked about this in his work, uh, Criticism Inc. Okay, so basically, we have to understand that aesthetics was a work by Munresi Beasley, whose timeline was 1950, 15 to 1985, and the subtitle was Problems in the Philosophy of Criticism. This is the subtitle of Aesthetics, okay, which was published in 1958. And after that, the verbal icon subtitle was Studies in the uh, Meaning of Poetry, which was published in 1954. Okay, so these are the some points you can write down this, and as a literature student, you need to understand and need to know this writer's name, because this is very important, because you are reading literary theory and criticism and you don't know what is the history. Lots of students actually fear of this paper. They actually afraid of this paper because they think we just don't understand. Even some of my friends and some of my colleagues and some of my, if I say, students, some of you, basically some of you, they you also complained that we are not understanding literary criticism. Not complaining, actually you were just expressing your things, that we are not understanding literary theory and criticism paper, whatever written in paper 5. We are understanding some kind of other works like John Milton's work, essay and dramatic poesy, but we're not understanding structuralism, post-structuralism, new criticism, deconstruction, cultural materialism, Marxism. What are they? What is these actually? What are these? We are not understanding this particular theories. Please explain these theories in brief. So I'm just giving you an idea, brief idea, along with the historical background. I am, explaining about new criticism. In new criticism, they say don't focus on history. But whenever I am going to teach you about new criticism, I'm also using the historical factors. How the new criticism came, how who are new critics, and why they came, and why they do these kind of things. Okay, and how they correlate each other, how they made co-writers. Okay, and एक दूसरे के साथ वो कैसे अलग अलग बुक्स वो लिखे, वो सारी चीज़ों को मैं कंपाइल करके ये पूरा एक जो नॉलेज है आप लोगों को मैं दे रहा हूँ, अभी ना आए बाद में काम आएगा ज़रूर. So I was talking about Cleanth Brook. So let's talk about the Cleanth Brook, the famous prominent literary figure, guys. So don't skip this session and don't leave this session, because this session is going to be so much rock and so much nice, and you will enjoy today. So basically I was talking about Clint Brook, right? So Clint Brook, actually he was a prominent American literary critic. He was a prominent American literary critic. He was also a teacher and scholar, known for his contributions to new criticism, a literary theory that emphasizes close reading, as I talked about this, close reading for text and the autonomy of the literary work. He was born on October 16, okay, 1906, and death 1994. I don't remember the exact month, but I know the which month he born. That is uh, October 16. Okay, October 16 is a month where is a date when he born. Okay, so Cleanthbrook is perhaps best known for co-authoring Understanding Poetry. This is the co-authoring work. Co-authoring work. And who is the author? Robert Penwell. Am I audible properly or not? मतलब हेडफोन कान में लगा के थोड़ा सा मतलब पेन भी हो रहा है, तो थोड़ा सा हेडफोन हटा कर बात कर रहा हूँ. Am I audible properly?
Yes, yes.
So understand the factors, guys. uh, uh, जो भी मैं अभी क्लिंथ प्रूफ के बारे में बोल रहा हूँ, वो सारे पॉइंट्स आप लोग को लिखना है, क्योंकि एग्जाम में ये चीज आप लोग अप्लाई भी कर सकते हो, क्वेश्चन भी आ सकता है असाइनमेंट में. और क्लिंथ प्रूफ आपके एसएलएम में है. तो आज को जो न्यू क्रिटिसिज्म, जो ये सेशन है, ये मैं न्यू क्रिटिसिज्म पूरा टोटल जो है उस पर डेडिकेट करके नहीं कर रहा हूँ. आपके एसएलएम पे बेस्ड करके जो चीजें आपको जानना है, और जो चीजें आपके एसएलएम पे नहीं दिया गया अबाउट क्लिंथ प्रूफ, I'm talking about all the things, all the factors. Okay. So, first of all, we have to understand the background of Clint Brooke. He was a teacher, he was a military critic, and Brooks is perhaps best known for his for co-authoring. He was the co-authoring which one, which book? Understanding Poetry. This is a work. This is a book which was published in 1938. And the main author who? Who was the main author of this book? Tell me. I just said the name right now.
Of himself.
No, no. Robert Penn Warren.
Robert
Robert
Pinto.
Penn Warren. Robert Penn. P-E-N-N. Penn. Robert Penn Warren. W-A-R-R-E-N. R-O-B-E-R-T. Robert P-E-N-N. Penn. W-A-R-R-E-N. Even in your SLM, you will get this name. Robert Penn Warren. Okay. Robert Penn Warren and Clint Brook both are prominent literary figures, so we should not skip these two literary figures. As per our SLM, Clint Brook is very much important because we are reading new criticism. So obviously you have to understand this writer. I was talking about इतने देर से मैं बस एक मतलब बैकग्राउंड के बारे में बताया कि कैसे आया, क्या थीम था, नहीं था. अब लेट्स टॉक अबाउट द काम की बातें करते हैं. चलो क्लिंथ ब्रूक अबाउट, लेट्स टॉक अबाउट Clint Brook. Okay, so he was the co-author of which book? Understanding Poetry, which was published in 1938, and the author was Robert Penn Warren, which was a seminal work that helped define the principles of, you know, new criticism, principles of new criticism. Okay, which defining form में मतलब उसको define करता था ये book basically. In his book, Brooks actually Cleanth Brook actually and Penn Warren advocated the analyzing poems based solely uh, on their intrinsic literary qualities such as language, structure, and imagery rather than relying on external factors like if I say historical factors, okay, historical, economical, religious, or anything or social, which is background factors, okay. So all the background factors they removed, and they didn't apply these factors. They actually used language, structure, imagery, but the literary devices I'm talking about, rather than in relying on external factors such as historical context or author's, you know, intention, author's intention. Okay, so this is the factor. Okay, so this is Cleanth Brook, and throughout his career, if I say, throughout his career, Brooks wrote extensively on Southern literature. Just understand, he wrote extensively on Southern literature. Don't forget this. Maybe you will get this question, or you may apply this kind of points in your exam paper in your writing. So this will be enhance your uh, writing, you know, writings, all the things actually whatever you are writing. So guys, in modern poetry, we can see, in modern criticism we can see lots of criticism, but Cleanth book was different. Cleanth book is also associated with criticism inc, because he was also a member of criticism inc. Okay, if I say not member, actually he was also connected with Jesse Ransom sir. He was also worked with him. Actually, he was also following Jesse Ransom sir. Okay, Clint Brook actually following, he was also following his new criticism book, or if I say he also praised uh, criticism inc. Okay, so they were actually trying to do something different in a literary world. So that is why they are doing these stuffs. So throughout his career, Brooks wrote extensively on Southern literature, modern poetry, and the other works of authors such as William Faulkner. Guys, William Faulkner, as we know, William Faulkner is very much important writer in our SLM. Okay, William Faulkner, T.S. Eliot, and William Wordsworth. His essays actually and lectures, basically his essays, Cleanthbrook essays and lectures on literature remain influential in the field of literary criticism, shaping the way many scholars approach the interpret literary text. Okay, so let's talk about the major works. As I said, the major works are these. Okay, well written studies in the structure of poetry, which was published in 1947. Don't forget this. Okay, this is very much important. Modern poetry and tradition, Modern Poetry and Tradition, which was published in 1939. So these two works is very much important work. That is why I said these two particular work. Okay, so guys, you have to understand from 1935 to 1942. This is a timeline, guys. From 1935 to 1942. This is the between these 7 years with Charles W. Pipkin. Charles W. Pipkin and poet and critic Robert Penn Brooks actually edited the Southern Review, a journal, and that advanced new criticism, and published a book of new generation of Southern writers. Okay, so remember this. And Brooks actually critical works in Brooks critical works actually include modern poetry and the tradition. Okay, this is a work actually, modern poetry and the tradition, which was published in 1939, and the well written, which was published in 1949, and some kind of works are also very much important, that is uh, authoritative college text, which is also by Brooks. Okay, and with others reinforced at the popularity of new criticism, which subtitle, if I say, understanding poetry. Understanding poetry, this is the subtitle. We basically read the subtitle understanding poetry, which was published in 1938, but people are not aware of this particular, they are not familiar with this name. Reinforced the popularity of new criticism. Subtitle is understanding poetry, which is published in 1938. And understanding fiction, this is also a work. Understanding fiction, after this he published another work, that is understanding fiction, which one published in 19, I think 42 or 43, 43 I think. Okay, so these are actually written with Warren, Ben Warren sir. Okay, he didn't wrote these works alone. Uh, he wrote these works along with Warren sir, Ben Warren sir, and understanding drama. One more important work was understanding drama. This was also published in 1945, and with Robert. This work actually, the co-writer, co-author was Robert Hillman, Heilman, Robert Hillman. So Brooks' later works, included literary criticism, a short history. This was a book, okay, and co-written with William K. Winsmith. This is the co-author, okay, William K. Winsmith. It was the subtitle was a short history, okay, 1957. Okay, so one more work is the language of the American South, which is published in 1985, and after that, historical evidence and the reading of 17th country poetry in 1991. It was published, and several books on, if I say, William Faulkner, including William Faulkner का और एक मतलब वर्क था जो कि है द योना, आई थिंक क्या था, वायदे के कुछ एक नाम था, अभी याद नहीं आ रहा मुझे। क्या था वो, युकना, युकना पटुआ ऐसे करके कुछ था, ठीक है। मैं अभी, आप लोग क्रॉस चेक कर लेना एक बार, ठीक है। विलियम फॉकनर के साथ था, द यो द योकना पटुआ ऐसे करके कुछ था, कंट्री करके, वो 1963 में वो पब्लिश हुआ था। ओके, एंड विलियम फॉकनर का और एक था, टूवर्ड योकना पटुआ करके, मतलब जो मैंने बोला, एंड बियॉन्ड, विच वाज पब्लिश्ड इन 1978। एंड और एक था विलियम फॉकनर का, मतलब को राइटर्स थे ये लोग, ठीक है, उसी हिसाब से लिखा था। फर्स्ट एनकाउंटर्स 1983। ओके, so this is about William Faulkner and Cleanth and Ben Warren, and if I say the Winsett sir. Okay, so guys, you have to understand about his major works. What are the major works, and what are they, and what are those factors? Actually, what kind of thoughts written in the his books? Cleanth. First one is, if I say 1931-39, published Modern Poetry and Tradition, as you can see here, this particular book. Okay, so basically, in this book, actually, uh, Brooks analyzes the works of several modern poets, including T.S. Eliot and Ezra Pound, as we know about Ezra Pound. So, uh, they were actually under examines their, uh, relationship with poetic tradition. He argues for the importance of tradition in understanding and evaluating modern poetry. So in new criticism, his work is a very much important work is modern poetry and the tradition. So these factors, these concepts was there. Okay, this concept and key concept is there. And one more uh, work was Understanding Poetry, as I said. Co-author who? Who's the co-author? Understanding Poetry? Penwarren, Robert Penwarren, which was published in which year? Understanding Poetry?
1938.
Yes, absolutely right. 1938. So basically, this is also seminal work. Seminal work is perhaps the most well-known effort, collaborative effort between Brooks and Penwarren, sir. Uh, in understanding poetry, this particular work, they actually outline the key tenets of uh, new criticism and provide practical guidance on how to analyze poetry through close reading and attention to form, structure, and language. You can apply these books a key concept, and you can write these books as a reference in your exam paper, guys. Okay, so you will get some more extra numbers. If any examiner or any professor will check your note, then they will understand that definitely the scholar, the particular student read this topic in depth. The particular student have has a deep knowledge. Okay, so basically you have to take some references, you have to take some you know some book or some co-authored book, so it will enhance your notes. Okay, so that is why I'm saying that. So the most important work, which is also in your SLM, you can see that the well-written studies in structure of poetry. The full name is study. आप लोगों के मतलब बुक में इस स्ट्रक्चर तक ही है, SLM में, ऑफ पोएट्री नहीं है, मगर इसका पूरा नाम है द वेल रोटन स्टडीज इन द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ पोएट्री विच इज पब्लिश्ड इन 1947. 1947 में जब हम लोग का देश आजाद हुआ था. Anyways, so basically in this particular work, in this influential work, Brooks focuses on the formal elements of poetry, such as meter, rhyme, and imagery, and he also argues that these elements contribute to the overall meaning and unity of a poem. Brooks also examines the intricate structure, intricate structure of poetry. He was also arguing that uh, the form of and structure of a poem are essential to its meaning and aesthetic impact. He explores the concept of the, if I say, a very much important concept, guys, heresy of paraphrase. Don't forget this. If you are reading on Cleanth book, then obviously this phrase you should know. Heresy of paraphrase. इसमें क्या कहा गया बताओ? जानते हो कोई इसका, इस हेरेसी ऑफ पैराफ्रेज के बारे में कोई जानता है यहाँ पे? डू यू नो what actually said in this particular phrase? Anyone? Or this is a new first time you are knowing this particular term? See, in this phrase actually he is emphasizing the importance of interpreting of a poem as a unified and whole structured whole, पूरा, rather than no, ये जो पूरा जो structure है. So he was emphasizing the importance of interpreting of a poem as a unified and structure whole rather than structure whole rather than reducing it टू अ समरी और पैराफ्रेस। सो किसी भी वर्क को जब आप लोग पढ़ रहे हो, इंटरप्रेट कर रहे हो, जैसे कि हम लोग डिकंस्ट्रक्शन में समझते हैं, डिकंस्ट्रक्ट करते हैं चीजों को, वो भी तो एक मतलब लिंग्विस्टिक का ही समझ लो हिस्सा है। तो यहाँ पे अगर हम लोग डिकंस्ट्रक्शन के पर्सपेक्टिव से देखें, तो चीजों को हम लोग खोलते हैं ना, डिकंस्ट्रक्ट करते हैं ना एक टेक्स्ट को, मगर अकॉर्डिंग टू क्लिंथ ब्रूक, मतलब ये क्रिटिसाइजिंग वर्ड्स में मैं नहीं कह रहा हूँ, वो एक अलग चीज है, डिकंस्ट्रक्शन एक अलग चीज है और न्यू क्रिटिसिज्म एक अलग चीज है। मगर आपस में ये लोग लिंक्ड है। अब जैक्स देरिडा ने कभी भी क्लिंथ ब्रूक को अपोज नहीं किया या फिर क्लिंथ ब्रूक ने कभी जैक्स देरिडा को अपोज किया, ये सब बातें मैं नहीं करूंगा यहाँ पे। मैं जस्ट जस्ट समझाने के लिए आप लोगों को समझा रहा हूँ कि जैक्स देरिडा ने कहा कि डिकंस्ट्रक्ट करना, किसी टेक्स्ट को डिकोड करना, डिकंस्ट्रक्ट करना, खोलना, ओपन करना, पहलू को समझना, जहाँ पे हेरेसी और पैराफ्रेज में ये बोला गया कि आप जिस टेक्स्ट को पढ़ रहे हो उसके स्ट्रक्चर एंड उस मतलब लिमिटेशंस रहना चाहिए। आपको आपके समझने का लिमिटेशंस आप रखो, इंटरप्रेट उसी मतलब टेक्स्ट के बेसिस में मतलब आप मतलब इंटरप्रेट करो। ऐसे इंटरप्रेट ना करो कि उसका जो मेन एसेंस है वो खत्म हो जाए। जैसे कि मैं अगर बोलूं, एस टी कोलरिज का भी ये कहना था कि जो पोएट्री है वो उसको इतना ज्यादा भी मतलब, जो एक लेमन स्क्वीज एक मतलब है ना, जो टी एस एलियट का एक फॉर्मूला था लेमन स्क्वीज, टी एस एलियट ने कहा, तो उस मोड में मत पढ़ो, क्योंकि लेमन स्क्वीज करने से क्या होता है, नींबू कड़वा लगने लगता है। तो बेसिकली उसी के बेसिस में मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि कोई भी टेक्स्ट, कोई भी पोएम को अगर आप लोगों के सामने मैं रख रहा हूँ, उसको उसका एसेंस अगर सही तरीके से बरकरार रखना है तो उसको उसी के तरीके से पढ़ो, उसको उसी के तरीके से पढ़ो। इसका मतलब मैं सिंपल सा एक उदाहरण दे रहा हूँ। एक बाग में, बाग तो समझते होंगे, फूल का बाग, मतलब बहुत सारे फूल है वहां पे। तो आप लोग देख रहे हो वहां पे एक रोज है, बहुत खूबसूरत सा एक रोज है, बहुत अच्छे से उस रोज का बागान है वहां पे। और वहां पे उसका जो खुशबू है आपको बहुत ज्यादा मोहित कर रहा है। तो आप उस खुशबू को लोगे ना, आप उसको प्लक नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि आप उसको प्लक करोगे तो उसकी उसका जो खूबसूरती है वो खत्म हो जाएगा। वो जो मतलब पौधा है, मतलब जो गुलाब है, वो धीरे धीरे मुरझाने लगेगा, उसका जो स्मेल है, जो सेंट है, वो खत्म होने लगेगा। समझ रहे हो, फैक्टर्स को समझो। मैं हिंदी में इसीलिए बात करना अभी शुरू किया क्योंकि इसको शायद आप लोग कनेक्ट ना कर पाओ, मैं उदाहरण दे रहा हूँ बस, और कुछ नहीं। समझो फैक्ट, फैक्ट को समझो कि मैं मतलब क्यों बता रहा हूँ इसको, बाइलिंगुअल मैं क्यों यूज कर रहा हूँ यहाँ पे। आप लोग सही से इसको समझो, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट टर्म है गाइस, इसको आप लोग लिख लो। हेरेसी ऑफ पैराफ्रेस। जैसे उस फूल को हम लोग प्लग करके नहीं देख सकते, उसका जो खुशबू वो चला जाएगा, उसका एसेंस चला जाएगा, समझ लो। पोएम भी एक टाइप का एक मतलब रोज है, फूल है, फ्लावर है, उसका जो खुशबू है, उसका जो एसेंस है, उसको लो, महसूस करो, उसका जो फ्रेग्रेंस है उसको महसूस करो, उसका स्ट्रक्चर, उसका ब्यूटी, उसका सब कुछ महसूस करो। उसको डिकंस्ट्रक्ट मत करो, मतलब उसको खोलो मत। गुलाब के जो पंखुड़ियां होते हैं उसको अगर खोल दोगे तो वो पूरा नेकेड हो जाएगा, तो उसको देखने में एकदम बदसूरत लगेगा, तो डेफिनेटली उस पे कांटे भी होते हैं, सिर्फ कांटा ही रह जाएगा ना। गुलाब के फूल में कांटे रहते हैं ना, नीचे जो डंठल होता है उसमें कांटा रहता है। सो आप लोग ये समझो एक चीज को, जो कि जो गुलाब का फूल है वो ऊपर तरफ कितना सुंदर वो दिखता है, नीचे मतलब कांटा भी है फिर भी वो इतना ज्यादा खूबसूरत है। अगर आप पूरा खोल दोगे, उस हर एक पेटल्स को आप तोड़ोगे, हर एक पेटल को तोड़ोगे, रोज पेटल्स को तोड़ोगे, तो उसका खूबसूरती खत्म हो जाएगा। रोज पेटल अपने मतलब आप समझ लो कि आप उसको इंटरप्रेट कर रहे हो डीप मोड में, एकदम डीप एनालिसिस कर रहे हो, जहां पे जो टेक्स्ट लिखा गया है, जो टॉपिक लिखा गया है, उसका कोई मतलब ही नहीं रहा। इंटरप्रेट करते 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 आप ऐसे एक मौकाम पे चले गए जहां पे मेन जो चीज है उसका कोई मतलब ही नहीं रहा। कभी कभी हम लोग एक बात करते हैं ना, कुछ एक मान लो आपस में दोस्त के साथ या फिर फैमिली के साथ जब हम लोग बैठते हैं तो हम लोग कुछ बात करते हैं ऐसे, एक टॉपिक जब स्टार्ट हुआ उस टॉपिक को बात करते 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 दूसरे टॉपिक में हम लोग चले गए, तो शुरू कहाँ से हुआ खत्म कहाँ से हुआ, मतलब एक चीज को इंटरप्रेट करते करते दूसरे तरीके से अलग जगह पे हम लोग चले गए। तो इससे क्या हुआ, जो मेन जो चीज है उसका एसेंस खत्म हुआ। अकॉर्डिंग टू क्लेनेथ ब्रूक वो इस चीज को ऐसे ही मतलब समझाने का कोशिश कर रहे हैं हेरेसी ऑफ प्रेफरेंस में। एक्चुअली ही वाज emphasizing the importance of interpreting a poem as a unified and structured whole rather than reducing it to a form. Okay, समरी और पैराफ्रेस, समरी और पैराफ्रेस के द्वारा, पैराफ्रेसिंग मत करो मतलब ऐसे ही, ठीक है। सो द टाइटल बेसिकली आई वाज टॉक आई वांट टू टॉक अबाउट द टाइटल वेल रोट अर्न। यहाँ पे आप लोग जो टाइटल देख रहे हो वेल रोट अर्न, राइट साइड में तो उसका मतलब सब टाइटल है स्टडीज इन द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ पोएट्री। आप लोग द वेल रोट अर्न कंसिडर कर सकते हो, मतलब बोल सकते हो कहीं पे अगर आप लोगों को लिखना है अपने एग्जाम पेपर में तो सिर्फ द वेल रोट अर्न मतलब लिख सकते हो, कोई प्रॉब्लम वाली बात नहीं है, ठीक है। तो द वेल रोटन जो है इसका जो मतलब ये एक फ्रेज है, और इसको इस फ्रेज को कहाँ से लिया गया डू यू नो, नहीं जानते तो जान लो। बेसिकली दिस फ्रेज बोरोड फ्रॉम मेटाफिजिकल पोएट, याद है आप लोगों को, आप लोग किसी ने एक मतलब पार्ट वन में एक फेमस मेटाफिजिकल पोएट के बारे में पढ़ा होगा, तो वो कौन है? पार्ट वन के सिलेबस में फेमस मेटाफिजिकल पोएट कौन थे बताओ?
John Donne.
Yes, John Donne. So basically, the well-written is a phrase borrowed from John Donne's poem. Which poem? Canonization. लिख लो इसको, द कैनोनाइजेशन। पढ़े हो ना, द कैनोनाइजेशन द एक्सटेसी, याद है? कैनोनाइजेशन में क्या कहा, वो जो एक मतलब एक पोप था उसके बारे में, मतलब होल्ड यू टंग करके मतलब होता है ना पहला लाइन शुरू, याद है? मतलब वो किसी से प्यार करता है तो वो बोल रहा है सबको, पूरी दुनिया को बता रहा है कि मैं किसी से प्यार करता हूँ, तो उससे तुम्हें तो कोई तकलीफ नहीं हो रही है, तो प्लीज होल्ड योर टंग। ये जो प्यार है ये स्पिरिचुअल प्यार है। इस चीज को जॉन डन ने मेटाफिजिकली मतलब इस चीज को दिखाने का उन्होंने कोशिश भी किया है। इवन उनका जो ये पोएट्री है कैनोनाइजेशन, ये जो पोएट्री है एक्सटेसी से भी ज्यादा ये जो कैनोनाइजेशन है, क्योंकि यहाँ पे पोप का एक मतलब यहाँ पे जिक्र किया गया, इनका ये जो मतलब वर्क है ये बहुत ज्यादा कंट्रोवर्शियल भी था उस टाइम पे। जॉन डन उस टाइम पे कंट्रोवर्शियल भी पोएट थे, इसको समझ लो। सो बेसिकली द वेल रोटन ये जो फ्रेज है कहाँ से लिया गया, जॉन डन के एक मतलब पोएम था द कैनोनाइजेशन, वहां से। which books uses to illustrate the idea of a poem as a finely crafted object with a unified structure. Okay, so basically if I explain about the key factors, key concept of themes explored in the well written, so you have to write down that unity and coherence। कोहेरेंस का मतलब पता है आप लोगों को? कोहेरेंस का मतलब पता है क्या होता है? अनुकूल होना या फिर जुटना, जुटना, ठीक है, उसको कहते हैं coherence. So basically this matlab this particular concept actually I'm talking about unity and coherence. Not only unity coherence, but you can see the concept like the heresy of paraphrase, हेरेसी ऑफ पैराफ्रेज भी है यहाँ पे। अर्न वेल रोट अर्न में जो की कंसेप्ट है मैं वो बता रहा हूँ। यूनिटी ऑफ कोहेरेंस है, हेरेसी ऑफ पैराफ्रेज है, और टेंशन एंड एम्बिग्विटी है, और एक है क्लोज रीडिंग। ठीक है, ये चारों आप लोग याद रखो। So basically Cleanth broke in unity on and coherence. He wanted to say that he actually emphasizes the importance of unity in a poem, arguing he is also arguing that every element from individual world individual words to if I say larger structural elements contributes to the poem's overall meaning and coherence. Okay, he rejects the notion of a poem as a loose collection of images, of ideas, and if I say images or ideas, instead advocating for a uh, holistic approach to interpretation. Okay, so unity and coherence we understood. So now next concept is the heresy of paraphrase. I already talked about this. What is heresy of paraphrase? Actually, Brooks, Cleanth Brooke actually famously coined this term, heresy of paraphrase. Okay, he actually coined this term, heresy of paraphrase, to critique the practice of what? Practice of reducing a poem. You are reducing now. Suppose you were summarizing some kind of poem, then obviously you were reducing a poem. You are reducing a poem to a simple summary, or if I say paraphrase, you are doing paraphrase. So this is illegal for him. This should be actually wrong way for him. This is the wrong way. So basically, he argues that true meaning of a poem cannot be captured through paraphrasing or paraphrase alone, as it resides in the context interplay of language, form, and imagery. Okay, so in this sense, he talked about in his well written about here's your paraphrase. Okay, these key points, and also another key point is tension and ambiguity. As I talked about seven types of ambiguity, so here is a tension, and this though that work is different. Actually, that work seven types of ambiguity is different, but this here we can see the another concept or another key concept, that is tension and ambiguity. And why he talked about this? Because Clint Brook actually wanted to explore how poets use tension, ambiguity, and paradox. You can see paradox in your SLM also. Paradox to create depth and complexity in their work. And he also argues that these elements are essential to poetic expression and contribute to the richness of a poem's meaning. Okay, so that is why he also used tension and ambiguity form here, point here, as a key concept. Okay, and one more is close reading. So let's talk about the close reading, guys. Okay, what is close reading? Close reading, like other new critics or different critics was there who actually applied this theory, this particular term, close reading. Actually, Brooks advocates for close reading, a method. This is a method of literary analysis that focuses on the uh, text itself rather than external factors such as, if I say, author or historical factors, as I say. Okay, so basically, uh, close reading have some, key concept, key aspects, some kind of key aspects also. मतलब ये जो वेल रोटन है, इसका भी की एस्पेक्ट्स अगर मैं बोलूँ क्लोज रीडिंग है। और क्लोज रीडिंग का भी अगर आप लोग थोड़ा डीप में जाओ, मैं डीप में बोलना नहीं चाहता हूँ, क्लास थोड़ा सा लेंदी हो जाता है, कोई मतलब सही से वॉच नहीं करेगा इस वीडियो को पूरा। तो फिर भी मैं अगर बोलूँ क्लोज रीडिंग को भी इन्होंने आ, मतलब अलग अलग कुछ, मतलब इन डिटेल में थोड़ा सा जाऊं मैं, तो क्लोज रीडिंग को भी कुछ मतलब कुछ कंसेप्ट में उन्होंने मतलब बताया कि उनमें से कुछ कंसेप्ट है, जैसे कि कंसेप्ट मैं बताऊं तो अटेंशन टू डिटेल, ऑब्वियसली अटेंशन टू डिटेल, आइडेंटिफिकेशन ऑफ लिटरेरी डिवाइसेस, कैसे आप आइडेंटिफाई करोगे लिटरेरी डिवाइसेस को, मतलब अटेंटिवली आपको डिटेल्स पढ़ना है, एंड कैसे डिटेल में पढ़ना है, एंड लिटरेरी डिवाइसेस को आइडेंटिफाई करना है, इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ स्ट्रक्चर एंड फॉर्म। इंटरप्रेट आप अपने हिसाब से कर रहे थे इतने देर से, सिग्निफाइड आपका दूसरा मतलब हो रहा था, सिग्निफाइड सिग्निफाइड आपका थॉट प्रोसेस अलग हो रहा था। मगर इस टाइम पे आपको क्या करना चाहिए, इंटरप्रेट कैसे करना चाहिए, इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ स्ट्रक्चर एंड फॉर्म, स्ट्रक्चर एंड फॉर्म के ऊपर आपको इंटरप्रिटेशन करना पड़ेगा, सोचना पड़ेगा उस बारे में। मतलब टेक्स्ट ओरिएंटेड आपको रहना पड़ेगा। टेक्स्ट में जो है context itself is everything. According to him, context is itself everything. Not only him, but also some kind of literary workers, literary critics also said the same thing. Nothing outside of the text. Okay, everything inside of the text. तो टेक्स्ट में जो है वही है, ठीक है। So attention to detail, identification of literary devices, interpretations of structure and forms, exploration of the theme and motive. So theme and motive क्या है, ठीक है, उसको एक्सप्लोर करो। एंगेजमेंट एंड एम्बिग्विटी एंड कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी, एम्बिगुअस होना पोएट्री के बीच में, ठीक है। एंगेजमेंट विथ एम्बिग्विटी एंड कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी, कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी, ठीक है। तो ये सारे क्लोज रीडिंग के एस्पेक्ट्स हैं। ओके, सो दीज आर आल्सो फैक्टर्स। एंड इन हेरेसी ऑफ पैराफ्रेज, this concept actually he used in well written. So this is very much important, guys. You need to read it very much uh, properly. Okay, so you know, uh, one more important fact you can find in your SLM, that is kids Sylvan historian, और सबटाइटल है हिस्ट्री विदाउट फुटनेस। हिस्ट्री विदाउट फुटनेस जो है ये आपको शायद एसएलएम में ना मिले, मगर ये है इसका सबटाइटल। बेसिकली इट वाज पब्लिश्ड इन 1979। बेसिकली यू नो गाइस, किड्स किड्स सिल्वियन हिस्टोरियन or history without footness is a is indeed indeed an essay by Cleanth. This was indeed an essay by Cleanth focusing on John Keats poem। उनके पोएम के ऊपर, मतलब जॉन किट्स के जो भी पोएम्स आप लोग पढ़ते हो उनके ऊपर ही इन्होंने बात किया, किट्स सल्वियन हिस्टोरियन में। ओके, यहाँ पे बात किया भाई जॉन किट्स पोएम लाइक ओड टू नाइटिंगेल और भी जितने वर्क्स हैं। The essay was actually included in Brooks' collection of essays titled Kids Sylvian Historian. Okay, so don't forget this. Okay, which was published in 1979. Okay, and in this essay, Brooks actually explores kids' use of imagery and symbolism in Ode to a Nightingale, and to convey themes of, mortality, beauty, and the transcendent power of uh, art. Transcendentalism भी चला आया देखो, transcendent power, actually transcendent power of art. And the title actually, title of essay highlights Brooks' perspective that Keats' poetry serves as a form of history, but one one that differs. You have to understand, guys. One that differs from traditional history narratives found in textbooks, lacking footnotes and explicit dates. So instead, this John Keats poetry captures the essence of human experience and emotion, offering a more profound understanding of history through its exploration of universal themes. Okay, so Clint Brooks actually analyzes, uh, delve into the ways in which Keats' poem transcendent is immediate context and become a timeless meditation on the human condition. He examines Keats' uses. He actually used imagery. He Keats' use of imagery. Okay, particularly the
Nightingale's song as a symbol of transcendence and escape from the limitation of mortal existence. Okay, and Brooks also explores the tension between the desire for immortality and the acceptance of human mortality that runs throughout the poem. It also showcases Brooks' adeptness at close reading and his ability to illuminate the depth and complexity of Keats' poetry. Throughout his analysis, uh, Brooke, Clint Brooks demonstrates how John Keats' works contribute to resonate with readers across generations, offering insights into the enduring significance of art and human experiences. Okay, so one more important factor you can see in your SLM, that the language of paradox. Okay, you can see in your SLM this. So, what is paradox by Cleanth Brook? That is the point. What is the paradox of by Cleanth Brook? In the Cleanth Brook's literary criticism, the concept of paradox often refers to apparent contradictions, or if I say tensions within a literary work that contribute to its complexity and, if I say, richness of meaning. Okay, so guys, Clint Brooks actually believed that paradoxical language and imagery were central poetic expression and could be found in in the work of many great poets. Okay, so for Brooks, paradox serves several functions in literature. Like the functions are, लिख लो आप लोग, uh, provocation of thought, okay, creation of uh, you know if I say tension, tension and ambiguity, expression of uh, uh, you know ineffable truths, okay, ineffable truths, expression of ineffable truths, INEFFABLE, INEFFABLE, expression of ineffable truths. So basically uh, ये जो 3 पॉइंट है, लास्ट ये 3 पॉइंट बताऊंगा और आज का सेशन खत्म होगा. You have to understand in this language of paradox these three concepts: revocation of thought and creation of tension. So in revocation of thought, paradox challenges readers' assumptions and invite them assumptions and readers' assumptions and invite them to think deeply about the complexities of human experience by presenting apparent coordinate contradictions. Poets force readers to reconcile seemingly opposing ideas and leading to a deeper understanding of the text. Okay, so that is why revocation of thought, he talked about this. And what is another key concept? Creation of tension and ambiguity. Paradoxes create tension and ambiguity. This is right. Even it happens with us also. And ambiguity within a poem, enriching its meaning and generating multiple layers of interpretation, whatever we do, right? whatever we do, interpreting a text, right? So the, you know, juxtap- uh, juxtaposition uh, of contradictory uh, elements can be, can evoke complex emotional responses. I'm talking about emotional responses, and add depth to the poem's theme. Okay, so one more aspect is expression of ineffable truth. So paradoxes are often used to express truths that defy simple explanation or uh, rationalization. By embracing paradox, if I say, uh, poets can convey profound insights into the mysteries of mysteries of existence, such as consistence of joy and sorrow, or the fleeting nature of time. Okay, so these are the facts, guys. We have to understand. ठीक है? So, do you have any queries or any kind of suggestion you may ask or give your suggestions? आई होप ये जो पूरा टॉपिक है आप लोगों को पूरा समझ में आया होगा। बैकग्राउंड मैंने क्या है बता दिया, क्लिंथ प्रो के बारे में बता दिया, न्यूक्रिटिसिज्म के बारे में, ठीक है, एज पर यूर एसएलएम। सो आपको समझने वाली कोई दिक्कत होगी नहीं, इजीली आप लोग इसको समझ लोगे। ये वीडियो को अच्छे से देखना, जब भी मैं इसको अपलोड करूँगा, आज रात को ही अपलोड कर दूंगा, तो सही से देखना, फिर आपको समझ में आएगा, सारी चीज़ें आप लोग कनेक्ट कर पाएंगे। अगर किसी को कुछ भी क्वेश्चन पूछना है तो पूछ सकते हो, ठीक है।